Welcome back to the Ulduar Raid Guide. My name is Lore from TankSpot, and in this video I'll be guiding you through the Auriaya encounter. The initial pull is one of the toughest aspects of the fight to get down properly. Auriaya patrols with 2 Panther sentries that, when given the opportunity, will pounce a random raid member, dealing enough damage to spell a quick death. Avoiding this initial pounce is key. We'll be releasing a companion guide to this video that explains the pull in detail, but in our group we found the best method was to have our Death Knight off-tank drop a Death and Decay at the end of her patrol path, and have the entire raid bunch up around the corner as you can see here. Once she reaches the group, our main tank picks up the boss while the off-tank holds the 2 sentries. Once the off-tank has a decent threat lead, DPS can begin killing the sentries one at a time. Everyone should remain grouped up in front of the boss as much as possible, and it's a good idea to place a raid marker over your main tank, as you can see the triangle here, to give an easy visual reference of where everyone should be standing. Once the 2 sentries are dead, DPS can move to the boss. Every so often, Auriaya will cast an ability called Terrifying Screech that will fear everyone in the raid for up to 5 seconds. This fear can be broken by any normal means such as Fear Ward, Will of the Forsaken, Berserker Rage, and so forth, but Tremor Totem is particularly powerful should you have a Shaman available. By itself, the fear isn't much more than a nuisance, however it will make several members of your raid vulnerable to pounces if your DPS is slow to kill the sentries. 2 types of ads will be summoned throughout the fight. The first and easiest to deal with is the Swarming Guardians. These have very little health, do very little damage, and can generally just be AoE'd down without too much concern. This purple beam indicates that Auriaya is summoning the second type of ad, the Feral Defender. She'll summon him about a minute into the fight, and all DPS should switch to him as soon as he becomes attackable. The Defender has several random target attacks, including a pounce similar to the sentries at the beginning of the fight. This should be avoided, but isn't as deadly as the sentry pounces, so it can be healed through should a fear come at a bad time. When the Feral Defender is killed, he'll spawn a Void Zone beneath him. At this point, the entire raid should move around to stand behind another corner, out of line of sight. This is because the Defender will resurrect about 30 seconds later, so you want to avoid unnecessary pounces if at all possible. While all of this is going on, Auriaya will occasionally cast a spell called Sonic Screech, which deals a large amount of physical damage to everyone in front of her. This damage is split evenly across everyone it hits, which is why it's important to keep the raid grouped up in front of her as much as possible. As long as everyone's topped off and positioned properly, Sonic Screech can be healed through relatively easily. Remember that the Feral Defender drops a Void Zone where it dies. If at all possible, try to pull the Defender out into the middle of the platform before killing it to give the raid more room to maneuver. You may need to move the entire raid or you risk killing it while it's standing on top of the main tank, which, as you can see, makes things a little hectic. Although the largest sources of damage are physical, there is a good bit of shadow damage being tossed around as well. Shadow Resistance or Prayer of Shadow Protection can be helpful to lower this damage a bit, as well as give a higher chance to resist the fear. Note that this little curve in the platform we're hiding behind isn't very reliable for breaking line of sight. It can work, but it's not exactly guaranteed, as you can see here. If at all possible, try to use the stairways around the room. This can make things a little tougher on the healers in terms of positioning, which was why we had avoided them for this kill, but will be much more reliable. Also notice that the Void Zones persist through the entire fight. You can run out of room quickly if you're not careful. Auriaya is all about control, controlling the pull, controlling the ads, and controlling your position. As always, you can find more details on this and other fights at the Project Marmot forums on TankSpot.com. If you're watching this on YouTube, just follow the link in the movie details. Also, keep an eye out for our companion video, which will explain the pull in more detail. Thanks for watching, and good luck!